Sometimes when I make these videos, I have an answer to a question and I want to share my findings with you. However, in today's video, that is not the case. I'm going to be asking you guys a question, and it relates to a topic that I've been seeing a lot online recently. I don't know if it's true for you guys, but if you're watching a video like this, it might be. I'm seeing so many people from, Western developed countries saying that they want to move overseas. I see people saying that they want to move to places like Dubai. Some people even saying that they want to move to places like China, where essentially for the skills that they have, they can earn more money or essentially fit in better with the current financial standing of that country or region. That I do understand, and arguably that will give you a better quality of life. However, one thing that I've seen a lot of people speaking about the most, especially a lot of average people, is moving to places that are cheaper. Arguably, well, not even arguably, it's factually true, poorer countries, right? People from Western countries like the UK, the US, Canada, Australia, for example, saying that they're going to move to Thailand or Cambodia or maybe somewhere in Eastern Europe. I see it all the time on my social media, so I don't know if this is the case for you guys. I've always wanted to ask the question because it popped into my head recently and I can't stop thinking about it. Is this actually chasing a better quality of life, or is it cope for our current situation? I am based in the UK, and I've seen the changes in the UK, especially in the last 5 years, right? I don't necessarily want to touch on things like crime or any of that sort of stuff. I think that's irrelevant to the main point that I want to make here. However, it does still hold a massive importance in terms of quality of life. But the biggest thing that I've seen impacting at least my quality of life and the people around me's quality of life isn't crime. I mean, it does have an impact, obviously, but it's stuff like inflation. It's stuff like the cost of housing, the cost of food. When you go shopping now in the UK, this is true because I did it with my family the other day. You go shopping for what would have been £100 shop. It's now 180. This is buying the same stuff, actually a bit less. So I understand that element. And you go to some of these countries in, say, Eastern Europe or East Asia or South Asia, some of which I've been to, and it is true, they are cheaper, and for some people they are going to present a better quality of life. But for the ambitious amongst us, chasing freedom, perhaps financially, economically, whatever you want to say, is moving to countries like this the best alternative? Or is staying in your first world developed country, as people say, is that actually the best option? Now, a lot of you guys are going to say, well, you're just trying to cope yourself. Living in the UK or America is obviously worse than living in somewhere like Thailand. But then I had to think about it on one of my trips when I went to some Eastern European countries, right? The level of money visibly about is visibly lower. The architecture is beautiful, yes. The people are lovely and all of these sorts of things. We're talking about this from a sheer financial standing. You don't see Lamborghinis and Ferraris left, right and centre like you do in the UK. And people might say that that's not true, you don't see these supercars. I want you guys in any town or city in the UK to look at your average traffic, right? Your average traffic. Every traffic jam in the UK, or not every, but quite a lot of them, these big new Land Rover trucks, the old Lamborghini Urus truck, BMWs, Mercedes are common. Very, very common cars, and these are all brand new cars or fairly new cars. This is important because compared to some of these countries that people want to move to, this would be quite a big deal in some of these countries, right? You don't see those cars as often. Very rarely do you see those cars in some of these countries. Not all, but some of these countries, it is true. I've been there, I've seen it. This is important context for quality of life. Because on the topic of what I'm speaking about here, when you're in the UK, you can see amongst some people very, in fact, extremely high levels of personal wealth. I'm not saying everybody holds it. Lots of people, probably most people, are broke or on the edge. That's the truth. But if you make it in the UK or the US or Canada or any of these really rich countries, comparatively, if you make it in one of these countries big, you made it big by world standards. So think about this, right? In somewhere, I don't want to name a specific country, but let's just say some country, right? Being in the top 10% would not put you in the top global 1% or 5% even, possibly. In some countries like the UK, the US, Canada, being in the top 1%, 10%, probably 15% of wealth would put you above probably 90% of the world's population in terms of quality of life. And this is where my question comes in, right? So it really does then depend what you value, I guess. And that's what I've been trying to figure out myself, and obviously in relation to this topic. Is moving to these cheaper countries with the aim specifically of feeling richer or having more money to spend, is it mainly chasing a better quality of life, or is it to a degree coping with the current situation? Building a profitable business in the UK or the US, you can capitalize on a lot of revenue and a lot of profit because people have a lot of money. Not everybody, but more than most of the world, let's be honest, right? So is the answer then, and I don't have the answer to this question, I'm actually kind of asking you guys, and any reflection is fine, I don't mind hearing your opinions on it, of course, that's why I ask. Is the answer not moving away from the UK or the US, but trying to find ways to make our best situation here? Because yeah, we got high taxes, and yeah, we got this and that. And if people want to move to rich countries, really rich countries, where high levels of personal wealth are even higher than the UK, like Dubai, let's say, or the US from the UK, that does make sense in my head on that front. But on the financial front of having your money go further, yes, your money does go further in, let's say, some Asian countries or some Eastern European countries, right? But is it that you're actually richer there? Or is it that you are dealing with your circumstances in different ways? I don't know, guys. I actually don't know the answer to this question. So I don't know if people can criticize me for it. I'm just asking the question. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I want to know your thoughts on this. Let me know what you think. Thank you for your time, guys. And I hope I'll see you again in another video soon. See you soon. Goodbye.